What's up, guys? This is Matt Dollar, and I'm back with the back nine from round 4 at HOTLANTA 2016. Today we're watching the chase card, and if you'll remember, Dollar, Childs, and Matlack were all 3 off of the lead coming into this round. And today we'll be starting our 10th hole on hole number 11, which is Skull Island, a 309-foot uphill par 3, where if you don't land inside the rock-formed Skull Island, you must proceed to the drop zone with a stroke penalty. Josh actually landed just short of the island and skipped over the first rock. So we'll have a long putt, the longest putt you can have on Skull Island, but he's safe. I went with a felon, skipped out a little bit left, but I'm on the island putting for 2. Isaac with a park job. And Matlack coming in a little left. He pops off those rocks, and I'm pretty sure he's out of bounds. So if you'll remember in round 3, I actually went out of bounds on this one too. I landed my drive in the middle, and it skipped and kind of rolled over a rock. And then ended up having a little bit of a spit out, maybe not the best putt, on my putt for a 4. So I took a 5 on this morning. Josh goes with the long putt and just misses. He'll settle for a 3. If you notice my foot's up in the air a little bit, it's because I'm standing on top of one of the rocks. Because the OB rules actually say on Skull Island that if you were touching a rock, even if you're on the outside of the island, you're in bounds. As long as you're touching one of the rocks that create the island. So when you take your meter, you're supposed to take your meter from the outside of the rocks, not the inside. So me and Isaac got birdies, Josh with a 3 and Matlack with a 4. We move on to hole 12. I went with a thumber with my felon off the tee. Isaac's going with the more standard backhand. He hangs it out a little bit. Probably going to be a little bit right. Josh throws a felon out to the right.
Go forward. Skip forward.
Looks like a pretty good shot. May have come in just a bit short.
Skip forward. Might be all right.
Matlack squares up a T-bird. Follows Josh's line almost identically.
Go forward. Skip forward.
So it looks like Matlack's out. Him and Josh both came up a little short left. The wind's kicking out here all of a sudden. Matlack had a pretty good line on that one. Just missed low. Afraid to get it up in the wind, I suppose. Josh nails it with his Warden. Nice putt from Isaac to get his birdie. That's why Matlack likes to putt with those Novas. They really grab those chains. So we got 3 birdies there. Matlack settles for par. We move on to the monster par 5, hole number 13, coming in at just under 1,100 feet. So I smashed my hatchet on a roller on this hole. I generally play a more safe shot, more conservative shot rather. I feel like the roller's pretty safe because if I turn it over a little too much, I go into the fence line. But there are some gaps in between fence posts, so there's a few spots down there where you can just roll straight out of bounds. Everyone else takes a little more traditional shot and throws a hyzer. Well, actually, Matlack throws a little turnover with his metal flake turn.
Yeah.
Put a pretty good move on that one. So on the second shot, you really just want to get around that tree, the little set of trees in the middle you see.
You're out the other side.
Get you into the open field so you have a 350 foot upshot to try and get a birdie. Isaac played this one perfectly, right in the middle of the field. So I want to throw a backhand so I can get a bunch of distance, but I'm afraid of hitting that fence. And we had a pretty good wind, I remember. Just like a little bit of tail. So I'm going to decide to drop that hatchet and go with a thumber. Got a really nice angle on that thumber. Takes the big flare. And I was actually really surprised where this ended up because I was further than I've ever been in 2 shots on this hole, which is crazy, but I guess that's because I usually throw a more conservative shot off the tee. So Josh is stuck up in that last little island of trees. He's still almost 400 feet from the basket. Not much of a way to get a birdie from where he's at, but he throws a really good shot out of there. That'll at least get him an easy par. Isaac's taking the straight on approach. Comes up a little short. So the upshot here is it's uphill, and then when you get 30 feet short of the basket, it starts going downhill. And then 30 feet past the basket, there's a creek that is creek and beyond out of bounds. Matlack was trying to play a safe sidearm, and he sawed it off and went out of bounds over by the next tee pad. So Matlack is struggling on this hole after throwing the best drive at the group. So I decided to go with a soft thumber because my thumbers usually come up short on this this upshot here. But like I said, I've never been that far, so I ended up juicing it a little bit past it. And I do believe it ended up in the creek OB. So Matlack trying to save a 5. He gave it a pretty decent look. Isaac almost snuck his birdie in there. Luckily, I'm able to hit that comebacker out of the creek. And I took revisional just in case. Because I actually was like on the other side of the creek. So it ended up being a 5 either way. No birdies on that one. Matlack took a 7. So we move on here to hole number 14. And now we got a nice little stretch of par 3s to try and put some birdies on the board. A few years back when these trees weren't so tall and I was a little bit younger, I used to just throw a thumber over the top of all of them. I still see a couple guys that do that, but for me, I just try to throw a nice, flat, stable disc right down the right side and let it skip to the basket. And it works out pretty good for me usually. So Isaac and Josh both have to throw up shots here, while Matlack and myself put it up on the green. Nice little reverse stance upshot from Josh there. That's my 3rd birdie of this 9, so that puts me at 7 under total. Moving into hole number 15 here. Hole 15, about 265 feet, I believe, with a giant cedar tree. Well, more like a giant cedar bush, just to the left of the basket. I threw a gold line mace. I liked my drive, but I was a little afraid that it might have slid a little too far left. I believe Josh is also going with a gold line pane on this hole. And he went a little left too, so we're both definitely inside the circle. But will we have a putt? Not really sure.
Come on.
Isaac throws very nice shot. He makes sure not to go left at the end. He hung it out a little right and then got back in there. So Matlack chips his upshot. So Josh's putt's not very long here. It's probably only 25 feet at most, but he's got a little bit of that tree kind of cutting into his line. So I think he was trying to take it really close to that tree to make sure he gave it a chance and ended up taking it a little too close. There I am laying down because I'm 20 feet from the basket with basically no putt. I decided I might as well just try to throw it through the tree and deflect one in. And I gotta feel like that's about as good as I was gonna get it. It would have been just straight luck if it would have went in. So Isaac cards the only birdie. Moving on to hole 16.
Ching. Oh man, that was close.
14, 15, 16, you really want to nail those 3 down. Because they're all under 300 feet. And they're all pretty gettable 2s. So I took the low line thumber on the left side with my felon. Everyone else is trying to throw a backhand mid-range. It's just a tough little shot, that backhand mid-range anhyzer. because it's a low ceiling, so you got to make it float up in there, and unless you get to the pine straw and get that pine straw slide, you're going to come up short or left. I don't know, it's a tough one. I'll just stick with the thumber there. So Josh actually penetrated pretty deep in, but he's over on the left side. Good putt from Josh, good putt from Isaac. And I wobble my judge in there, and so 3 of us get birdies. We move on to hole 17, the beautiful tunnel shot hole. Isaac throws a pretty good one, ends up a little left. I'm going to go with my hatchet again and just try to smooth it out there. This hole's just a little over 300 feet, I do believe. Maybe 330. Threw a pretty good one with the hatchet. I thought it was a good line, but it turned over a little bit. Probably has been the right side of the green. Josh throws a good looking shot down there with his Saint. Not sure what Matlack's throwing here. Maybe a turn. He loves throwing those turns. Yeah, I guess it could have been a T-bird too. Matlack puts a little lean into that one. That's a pretty good upshot. So this is me. I'm on the right side of the green. Probably about 40 short and right. Cash it in there with my judge. Isaac with a good bid, just a little bit high. And Josh nails this one down, as always. So moving into hole number 18, I'm now 9 under for the round. And I'm starting to feel like I might have a little bit of a chance to win this thing. I knew I was 3 back off the lead, and there was a couple guys in front of me. I was trying to keep an eye on the card behind us, which was the lead card. Cody Britton and James Cole appeared to be playing pretty good. So I figured if I get these last 2 birdies, it's going to give me a chance. I went with the defender here on hole number 18. This hole plays like it's 400 feet or so. I tried to just get pin high on the right side and land on that hill to give myself a putt. So Matlack goes for this long putt and then catches a roll from his Nova. Luckily it doesn't roll again, but he's going to get a bogey. Good bid from Isaac. Doesn't quite stick it in there. So Josh also has a pretty good round going. Really wants to get this one in there if he can. Yeah, beautiful putt from Josh. And I'm able to putt my judge in there for the birdie. So we're going into our last hole, which is hole number 1, par 4. So I believe we had a backup on this, and Carla must have missed my my tee shot. I actually went with a thumber just because I thought if I get a birdie here, maybe I'll have a chance, for the win. But as we walked down the fairway, I talked to the lead card that just finished. Found out that James Cole and Cody Britton had tied, and that I needed to shoot a 49, which is 12 under, to get into the playoff. Which means that I need a 2 on this last hole, which is a par 4. So now I know that I have to throw my shot in if I want to tie. So I'm trying to throw it in. I go with the pain and I make sure I take it tight to try and give it a chance. I had pretty good height, but I missed just inside of the big tree, and I needed to miss just to the right. So I was pretty disappointed finding that out because I was really hoping it would be enough to at least get me in a playoff, but here's Matlack after throwing a crushing drive. If he wouldn't have caught these trees just inside the end of the gap, or the beginning of the gap, he would have probably went another 70 feet and may even had a putt for eagle. Josh hit something on his second shot, so he has to chip up for his par. Matlack's got a long birdie putt. If I had known that I needed an eagle Before I teed off on this hole, I would have tried something really aggressive, like a really long roller, just to try to get the 2. But tap in for my 3. That gives me a 50, which is 11 under and 1 off the course record, and 1 off of being in a playoff. So third place finish for me. But played pretty good, and here are our final results for the lead card. And I greatly appreciate everyone watching, and I want to thank Carla Seward for filming and Latitude 64 for my wonderful discs. And please subscribe to my channel. Thanks, everybody.